Another huge game for Marvin Harrison Jr. in Ohio State's 38-3 victory over Michigan State. Scored the first 3 touchdowns of the game. Ohio State scored on its first 3 drives. He had the touchdowns there. One was on a run on a nice reverse that they set up for him, and then 2 other touchdown receptions. He finishes the game with 149 yards and 2 touchdowns on 7 receptions, and that's basically in just one half of work because Ohio State got him out of the game and safely onto the sideline pretty early in the second half. Obviously, Ohio State has ramped up a Heisman campaign for Marvin Harrison Jr. here in just the last week to 10 days. You know, they're putting out the "Here Comes the Sun" slogan, referencing him and his dad, and some other things that are going on with, social media and trying to raise awareness for him. Andrew, do you think after this performance and with everything that's, going on in college football right now, should Marvin Harrison Jr. not just be a candidate for the Heisman, should he be the front runner for the Heisman right now?
I don't think he should be the front runner, but if it should be one of those things where he's not the front runner, but he's a half a step off the pace. I think I look at this as a 4-horse race for the Heisman, and I think the numbers would back this up, like the betting odds, I think would back this up. Bo Nix from Oregon, Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, Marv, and then Jaden Daniels from LSU. I mean, you look at what Jaden Daniels from LSU did, just actually, like, I think as the Ohio State game was going on, he threw for like 370, rushed for 230. I understand he's on a 9-3 team, but some of those numbers are undeniable, and I think you have to take that into consideration. So he's in that mix. Bo Nix is obviously in that mix. His game is going on as we're recording this podcast. Michael Penix is also leading an undefeated team. Washington is 10-0. Whether or not you think it's a legit 10-0, whether or not you think that they're going to finish 10-0, I don't know. But they play Oregon State and Washington State to win the season or to end the season, and then you have the Pac-12 championship game. So it's possible, and I think if Washington goes undefeated, Penix is going to win it, and I would be okay with that. I do look at this though, and you hear this from Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord said this post game. Ryan Day said this post game. It's not about who has the better stats. It's about who's the best player. And there's a really good case that Marvin Harrison Jr. should not only be the winner of that he should pretty clearly be the winner of the Heisman Trophy if that's the case. So obviously there's more that goes into this than just who's the best, who's got the best. There's a bunch of factors here. But right now, I would put Marv kind of in that second or third kind of grouping, second or third place. And I think with a really good finish to the season, really good games against Minnesota, specifically Michigan, because that's going to be the game that everybody in the world watches. If you play well against Minnesota, you play well against Michigan, you play well in the Big Ten championship game, I would totally be fine with Marvin Harrison Jr. winning the Heisman Trophy. And I think, frankly, at that point, he would deserve it. So I think right now he's the best player in the country. But there are just a lot of other factors as to who should win the Heisman, and quarterback obviously is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, if this award really were just based on who is the best player, the best football player in the country, and is that player showing up and delivering every night, I think there's no question he would maybe be the front runner at this point. But it's a flawed award, in my opinion, as Buckeye Talk listeners know that I've kind of gone on this rant for a while, and that is 2 quarterback slanted, and I think you're right. I think that any number of those other quarterbacks would still have the odds-on chance of winning this. Like whoever emerges from, I mean, the Jaden Daniels numbers are crazy. They're really, really good. Like his efficiency rating is up there in like Joe Burrow territory, like not too far off, or like Mac Jones 2020. I know Mac Jones didn't win the Heisman, but I'm just talking about like that level of efficiency. Bo Nix, I think there's a good chance that if Oregon comes back and beats Washington to win the Pac-12, that he's going to get a lot of support for that. I have never been a huge fan of Michael Penix Jr. at this level, and I kind of feel like Washington's on this precarious perch. Caleb Williams, I don't think it's in the cards for him to repeat, but there's just so many quarterbacks who are being spoken of that you wonder if like whichever one emerges, whichever one has the best finish of the season could be the one who takes that. By the way, Michigan's J.J. McCarthy has been in the conversation to some extent. He attempted 8 passes today in a win over Penn State. I think that makes it tough. I mean, that's their marquee win so far,
Yeah.
and he didn't need to be there for the last 38 minutes of that game. So to me, you're done. You're out of the running at that point. I don't know how someone could vote for him. But I think there is still an avenue for Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know that he can be the front runner going into Michigan, but I think he can be the front runner coming out of Michigan, because the last 2 years, CJ Stroud was the betting favorite going into the Michigan game, or right there. I'm pretty sure he was the front runner by the time those games kicked off, and both times he loses that game and ends up a down ballot choice. And this is a award about a story as much as it's an award that tries to actually accurately pick the best player in the country. And the story that he could write, put up another big first half against Minnesota, or however long it takes for him to be in the game, and then put up a big game in Michigan Stadium and win that game and sort of lead Ohio State back. And after everything that's going on with Michigan this year, and to take back the Big Ten East championship and move on from there, I think, and then get to play on conference championship weekend. That's important. All those things I think could still get him there to where he would not only be in New York, but where he might be the guy who could win this award. And I think it helped tonight to be on NBC and to have kind of a primetime showcase for a first half like this, to see him doing it in various ways, right? Like, it was on the reverse. He was lined up in the slot for that one pass, the second touchdown pass. For the first one, it was kind of like signature Marvin Harrison Jr., like going up and making a contested catch in the end zone. Like, he's doing it in all these different ways. And in a year where, like, there is no clear front runner right now, other than just the concept of the quarterback being the clear front runner, then I think he's got a chance. I think he does. I wouldn't call him the front runner right now, but I think it's definitely within reach. And I was much more skeptical about it to start the year, just because of how rare it is that receivers get that kind of respect for that award. We're going to talk about this a lot more on Buckeye Talk all week. Get that wherever you can find podcasts, and get the text 614-350-3315. News, updates, analysis all week from cleveland.com.